Hi, my name is Jerome Bell, and welcome to Do Think, where thinkers are free to think. In this episode, I want to talk about how to forgive your mother. Now, if you're suffering from depression, anxiety, or general low self esteem, as strange as this may sound, it's probably because you haven't forgiven your mother. So bear with me. I personally noticed that I had a lot of anger towards my father in terms of his shortcomings in preparing me for life. And I actually confronted him about that anger and that I had unforgiveness towards him. And I told him that I forgive him. I noticed, though, after that, I felt good and relieved. But then I noticed that the anger started cropping up again within me. And I realized it wasn't really anger towards my father, it was actually anger towards my mother. And so what I had to do is I need to go to my mother and do the same thing and forgive my mother. But one thing I noticed I was different, I was far more terrified to confront my mother and forgive my mother than my own father. So what I want to go over is share a little bit about my experience and go over the process so that'll be smoother for other people how to forgive your mother. So when I went to my mother, I wanted to do it in person. No Skype, no FaceTime, no phone call. I wanted to do it in person. So I physically went to her house. I found some time. There were people around the house. And I just asked, hey, can we just, have a little privacy? And I was direct. And I told her everything that she had done that had negatively impacted me. And I just laid it out. I was calm. I was rational. And I said, I forgive you for everything. I said, we are square. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. And additionally, I told her that from now on, from this point forward, I regard you as a peer. Like any other of my adult friend peers, I regard you as a peer. And if we want to build a relationship mutually, that's great. If not, that's fine just as well. And I said, you can respond however you like at that point in time. Or if you don't have anything to say, that's fine too. And then I shut my mouth. Now, at this point, I was prepared for her to blow up, cry, get emotional, get angry. I was prepared for whatever. Because the point was to relay the message I forgave her, and from here on out, we're peers. We're adults. We're equals. And she actually responded in a rather positive way. She shared saying, didn't realize I had that effect on you, that she wanted to, there's still struggles that she has. And we actually had a good conversation. However, I wasn't expecting that and I wasn't requiring that because the purpose of the conversation was to tell her, inform her that she is forgiven, and henceforth I'm going to treat her as my peer and will only accept her treating me as a peer. So, in hindsight, I want to break down the pieces that it took to do that because once I did that, I noticed that I started to see everyone as a peer. And what that did is that gave me confidence. I was bulletproof. I am bulletproof. And what I see is that the first step towards living a lifestyle of harmony, of being a mature adult, of being spiritually free, is forgiving your mother more so than your father. So I want to go over those steps of how to forgive your mother. So prerequisites is again, make sure that you are talking to her physically, face to face. You are physically in the same location. You go to her physically. No phone calls, no Skype, no FaceTime. Secondly, remember the objective. You're simply informing her that she is forgiven and that you will only respect her as a peer moving forward. So don't forget that objective. So, step one, I listed everything that I knew of that she had done that negatively impacted me. Okay? So that's step number one. Tell her exactly everything that she's done that has hurt you, that's negatively impacted you as a mother. Step 2, tell her, I forgive you for everything that I mentioned. Also, I forgive you for everything that I don't remember. Also, I forgive you for anything that I have no clue about. So sometimes things happen that negatively impact you and you don't find out till years later, even from now. Bottom line, the slate is cleared. We're square. You owe me nothing. Step 3, tell her I will regard you only as a peer. It doesn't mean you're not my enemy. It means you're my peer. So in the same way I treat my adult friend peers, I'm going to treat you the same way. And any behavior that you have towards me, if it's not appropriate for one of my adult friend peers to do, I'm not going to allow you to do that. So it's basically like we're restarting the friendship, we're restarting the relationship, from zero. You owe me nothing, including an apology. You don't owe me an apology. And I owe you nothing. We're at zero. So just like when you meet a fellow adult, if they bring value to you, you may reciprocate, and vice versa. And if you don't, then you won't. Plain and simple. And so basically, it's just starting at zero, as equals. And you don't have to build a relationship from then on, but the door is open. And that's what you're communicating. So step 1, these are all the things that you've done that has caused me anger, that's negatively impacted me. Step 2, I forgive you for everything. We're square. You owe me nothing, not even an apology. Step 3, I will only have a relationship with you as a peer, just like any of my adult friend peers. That was step 3. And then really step 4, I shut my mouth. I let her respond. Now, in my circumstance, it happened to be positive, but I was 100% prepared that if she were to respond with anger, with denial, with resentment, I was prepared for it. And what you do in that situation is you let her do whatever she's going to do, and you take it as like you're watching a television show. Just watch her, you know? So just basically just holding your composure. That's the point. Not in a mocking way, but you just watch her, let her get it all out. And mentally, you just watch her reaction as if you're watching a television show, so not letting it affect you. And after that, you just say, all I wanted to do was to communicate, I forgive you, and I regard you as a peer. And that's the end of the conversation. That's when you get up and walk away, if she responds in a very negative way. But if she responds in a reasonable way, it's okay to have a conversation right then and there. You have no idea what she's going to say. She may open up about her past. She may, she may tell you about whatever, But ultimately, from that point forward, you need to hold her accountable to treating you as a peer. And the real test is real simple. Whatever she's doing, would you allow one of your adult friend peers to do the same thing? The answer is no. If she's doing things that would seem weird for one of your peers to do, or just outright inappropriate, tell her that. If she doesn't change, then you need to limit the relationship, just like you would with a peer. If one of your peers are acting weird, you got to start to distance according to the level that they're actually respecting you. Okay? So basically, that's the real test. Do they treat you like a peer? They owe you nothing. And you owe them nothing. This is probably the big one. You owe them nothing. You don't owe them phone calls. At this point, once you forgive, you're at zero, right? Reset. You don't owe them phone calls. You don't owe them visits. You don't owe her phone calls. You don't owe her visits. And this is a big one. You don't owe her caretaking in her old age. Do you owe one of your peers, one of your adult friend peers, caretaking in their old age? Obviously not. This is big. So what I'm saying is absolutely huge. And once you cut off that emotional umbilical cord, once you cut that off, you start to cut off those umbilical cords with other types of relationships in your life that are also dysfunctional. Relationships with government, job, but potentially your spouse, your own children. Like there's a lot of umbilical cords out there where they're dysfunctional, where we don't see other people as our peers. But once you do this, you'll start to see everyone as your peer, and you'll have that confidence, and you won't have that anxiety, and you won't have the depression, because for the first time in your life, you're going to have clarity because you're thinking rationally. And the spiritual harmony will start to flow through with a clear, rational mind. So I encourage you all to share in the comments, what are your thoughts? You think this will work? You think she'll literally kill you if you do this? Share your thoughts down in the comments. If you like this video, click like. If you want to keep chatting, subscribe. And until next time, do think.